because of Edward, and I mean, we can all agree that nothing on that show was moving any of us to tears.
Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, a place where geeks come to geek out. As always, we're your hosts, PK.
And I'm Bozer.
I'm Devin.
Hey, and if you want to geek out with us every single week about anime, movies, video games, comics, all whatever's happening in the geek culture, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
So, if you haven't been with us, we've been talking DC. And a lot's going on with DC right now. I guess you could probably agree.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest things is their streaming service, which you had touched on the first part of this week. So I definitely want to, let's start there. We'll start unboxing that. And then I think we can also start to talk about the future of Batman. So stay tuned for that. We will talk about, because I know the Robert Pattinson thing has been a huge, highly debated thing on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a lot of opinions on it, as most things. But streaming service first. Okay.
What's hot, Mr. Devin?
Oh man, really on that streaming service, everything is hot. They're killing it. It's a pretty low price point. It's like $8 a month, like how Netflix was when it started, and you get a pretty good amount of content. A lot of people were saying that there wasn't enough, but they combined. You can get like all their digital comics, like everything that's published digitally is on that app, so you can read it. Then on top of that, they have like all their animated movies and all that stuff, and they're putting out new original series, which is like one of the main things I want to talk about, because let me just say they are killing it.
And just in case
Titans.
people don't know, what's the app called?
The DC Universe streaming app.
Okay.
It is great. Titans was like a highly speculated thing when it was coming out. People were like really skeptical about it because of the costume designs. But
Well, yeah, because people picked it apart from like post-production set photos where they were all literally just walking away.
Yeah.
It wasn't even photos taken by them to like advertise. Somebody just happened to be on the street and snapped that photo. And they're like, let's upload it to, like, look at this. This is Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire. They look dumb.
yeah, but the show itself, like the costumes were not like, all of them were not the greatest throughout the show. But that does not take away from the actors' ability to portray the characters, because all of the actors and actresses did a great job. Honestly, they really did. The scripts were pretty great. The acting was good, and it was a good length. If I remember right, Titans was about 10 episodes long, and when it ends, it leaves you wanting more, which is what you can. That's like all you can ask from like a TV series like
Right.
that. It was really great, and then from there they tied in to Doom Patrol, which, let me tell you, that is one of the best shows to have come out in a while. Really, it was. Honestly, there's nothing like Doom Patrol, really. There are all these just like absurd characters. One of them we had actually brought up in the last episode.
Crazy Jane.
Crazy Jane, who's like, she has like the absurd idea of she has like 64 different personalities, and each one has a different superpower. Or you
That would
have
be so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
probably terrible
Kind
to live
of.
with,
Right.
but you have 64 superpowers.
Well, and it's like the character, the actress who plays her does such an awesome job with that. It's almost kind of similar to like
Split.
Yeah, Split. Like when you watch it, you're just like really impressed with how they can do all these
Yeah,
personalities.
okay. I know we're not talking about Split, but like James McAvoy did such an amazing job.
You're so cool.
Like every single character was
I know you're
defined,
watching.
and it sounds like Crazy Jane did the exact same thing, where she gave every single character their own personality, and to be able to switch between characters like
you
that,
can just tell from their face.
Right,
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy. It
give
really is.
every single one of them like their own like feature.
Yeah,
and then
physicality,
their
yeah.
own- yeah, to make them physically different, and then personality and voice and.
Do we get to see all 64 throughout the season?
We do not get like all 64 because that would be ridiculous, but we get a good amount of them.
It would be. That's why I was really hoping for
Yeah,
it.
no, you get a pretty good amount of them. You see them, like you even get to see like what some of them look like in her mind. Like,
Oh, so you can actually
Oh,
meet them.
cool.
yeah, you get to like really
Okay.
meet them like in depth. And then you got like the actors, Brendan Fraser played
Yes.
Robot Man, which that was awesome. He did an amazing job with that.
No, I have a question about Roman because I saw some of the trailers. I haven't seen it, but I know that like he was human at one point for sure, like because he was like a NASCAR driver or something like that, right?
Yeah.
What happens that, like, spoiler alert, potentially, what causes him to become Robot Man?
Car crash.
Okay, that makes
All
sense.
that could be salvaged was his brain.
Okay, so they
okay.
literally took the brain of this race car driver and put him in a robot.
Got it.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And yeah, it's just the way they executed it. I mean, even the villain is just super creative and awesome, Mr. Nobody. They really paid tribute to Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol, but Mr. Nobody, he's the narrator. He has the power to be the narrator.
Oh,
so,
wow.
The narrator is the villain, so he can control what's happening with the story as it's happening.
Oh, that's so meta.
That's such a cool.
That's
a
cool.
Like
ability.
as other villains, other villains in like basic, like the basic cut and paste superhero thing, it's just like they fight the bad guy, like physically, like they have to try and take him on as a team. He tears them apart mentally, and they have to try and overcome him that way.
So can I hear the narrator like narrating their life, or
they can hear him and they understand.
Kind of like
it's
Stranger
him.
Than Fiction kind of thing.
Yeah,
Lifestyle movie.
And the thing about Mr. Nobody is he's multi-dimensional, so like he can break the fourth wall. He knows it's happening.
Nice.
Ooh.
He knows he's in a TV
So,
show.
yeah, and
I
like,
gotta watch this.
And like the first episode, he's just like who would even watch a show on this? He's just like probably just a bunch of losers like DC and Grant Morrison. He's like he's a bunch of Reddit losers and Grant Morrison fans.
Oh my god.
Dude.
Oh,
it's
that's
awesome.
cool.
Now, who's the dude with like the bandages like wrapped up, and he's got the glasses and the trench coat? I think.
Yeah, that is
Like his face is all like messed
Yeah.
up under there, isn't it?
yeah. For some reason I can't even think of his name, but he has like another. He has like an interdimensional being living inside of him. It's like pure energy.
Is that why
it
his face out?
Well,
Oh, no, because there was that scene where he like fell asleep and then like, he like came outside of his body.
yeah. The thing, it's kind of something he has to work on throughout the series is being able to stay awake while it leaves his body, because it's like pretty much the only reason he's still alive. But I don't really want to spoil like.
Yeah, don't go too in depth. I don't want
like
it to be
that.
spoiled for us, but I was curious about that.
Yeah, that he's a very good ass.
Negative Man?
for sure.
There you
Yes,
go.
there it is. I cannot think of his name for the life of me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you just talked about it, but Brendan Fraser getting his return to like acting was super
yeah.
exciting for me. Like, do you remember like watching like George of the Jungle and Mummy and all that, and like
Yeah,
What was his
yeah.
last thing? Mummy 3?
I do think the Mummy series was one of his last things he did.
It couldn't have been.
It was one of them for sure. Yeah, I mean he's been gone from the acting scene for a long time, but this is a way to come back with a bang, man. He did a really great job in this show.
Hey, you guys keep talking. I'll figure this out for us.
No, can we just put? Because you can always cut that.
Yeah.
Let's just look it up.
Let's see.
I always hate when we're like stalling, when we can just
Pause. You
pause and
editing.
edit. Yeah.
Let's see. So, Adventures into the Center of the Earth.
Oh,
G.I.
yeah.
Joe: Rise of Cobra. He was Sergeant Stone,
Oh, yeah.
uncredited. Let's see. He does like little things. Breakout 2013, 2014, 2015. He was in The Affair. So he did like some TV series.
But he's a good actor.
He's an absolutely
Like-
incredible actor.
I wouldn't say you use the word incredible a lot, so I personally wouldn't use incredible. But I like what he does, and he's entertaining to watch, and he's a big enough name that you would think that by now he would be getting consistent work. So I'm glad that he gets something that's actually getting a lot of success.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy about the reason he was basically blacklisted from Hollywood, but that's really a whole other subject to be kind of tough to dive into.
So
Yeah.
what else is going on in the DC universe that we need to touch on?
So Doom Patrol actually just ended on Friday. The last episode of the first season came out, and if I remember correctly, I believe it was confirmed to have a season 2. But this upcoming week, we are getting a live-action adaptation of Swamp Thing in a series, which looks super awesome. Swamp Thing traditionally was like a horror character, like
Right.
he's basically like a monster, but he gained popularity really fast in like a year of comics, and then Alan Moore actually took over his story and did one of the most famous comic book runs of all time, actually. Basically making him like he's like this living entity that is like the embodiment of like nature, essentially.
Yeah.
He's like the protector of Earth, and he has like this unlimited, untapped power.
Like Mother Earth's guardian kind of thing.
That's exactly what he is, really. It looks super cool. It looks
He's
like
absolutely horrifying looking, though.
Oh yeah, and the villain, the Floronic man, he looks terrifying as well.
Floronic man?
Yeah, it's basically he was created in the comic books. One of his like supposed best friends tried to kill him.
Okay.
Via like mixing his chemicals and making them explode, but it didn't kill him. It left him still like just barely breathing. So he dragged him and buried him in the swamp, and then the chemicals from the swamp, they explained it as like he actually did die, but then the entity that is Swamp Thing, it literally tried to make itself human, and it embodied his consciousness. So he's not actually a human anymore at all. Like there's no human in him. It's just the consciousness of a man that died.
Got it.
And a plant that's trying to essentially look human. But
okay.
Yeah.
So he's basically just using that man's body then?
Not even. It's literally a
his
plant just trying to look human. It's just using his consciousnness to be able to communicate, I think, is essentially.
Gotcha,
what it
okay.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great things on the horizon, and it's obvious to see that DC's really trying to make a positive comeback, because in light of their movies, sometimes they're hit and miss. Like, there's always the biggest, like Dark Knight is always going to be one of the favorites in the DC universe as far as cinematically. But then you hear mixed reviews on like Justice League.
Man of Steel got like crapped on. Like, I know you really liked it. We talked about this before.
Yeah,
but Man of Steel didn't go over well with some of the fans. Neither did Batman versus Superman.
What's crazy about Man of Steel now is I've noticed online, there's like a big fan base came out for Man of Steel now that was never there when it came out. Like looking at everyone's like, hey, let's get Man of Steel 2, and everyone wants the ball to get rolling on that, but because
it's impossible to get that started again.
Right.
Well, because it tanked so bad.
Yeah.
No one's gonna back that and fund it. And like, in my opinion, like I don't think Batman vs Superman was a bad movie if you watch the director's cut, which means you have to sit through a lot of extra content, but it did make it more.
It made it watchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with just watching the regular version of Batman vs Superman, which I think is only like a 2-hour showtime.
It was 2.5.
2.5 hours.
Like that.
You didn't get the story point, but when you watch it with director's cut, I think it adds an hour. It's like a 3.5-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
It made way more sense. The continuity was there, and it was actually a really good movie.
And it would have been a solid build-up to Justice League, which was, honestly, I think it was the studio that made that a train wreck, because there was a lot of reshoots, and they had to change directors halfway through the movie. It was just really unfortunate luck, I think.
But all that's to say that DC needs a win, and with Marvel coming out with all these TV shows on CW, regardless of how I feel about them,
Just let it slide.
Just kidding. No, I'm not thinking.
Netflix.
Netflix.
And with the Disney streaming app now.
DC's more on the CW.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, don't just let it slide. Correct me. Tell them I'm totally wrong.
I was going to. I just want to let you finish your thought.
Netflix, they need something. So it's really cool to see them coming out with these on these streaming apps.
Okay, my thing with this, and I'm really excited about the streaming app, and it's awesome. I wish they would have partnered with somebody instead, because now I have to pay $8 to do it again.
Yeah,
and
don't love that.
Okay, here's
I'm not doing it.
a small rant by David Kroom. Whoops, that was my full name. Edit that out. Small rant by PK. There's Netflix, and they're like, okay, well then Hulu came out, and then Amazon was like, well, people are already paying for our service. Let's go and give them Amazon Prime Video. Fine, whatever. Then Disney was like, oh, we can do it. NBC was like, oh, we can do it. Apple is saying, oh, we can do it. Stop.
No one's gonna pay for every single thing.
Well, you say that, but people are. Like, when Disney comes out, people are going to pay for Disney's because it's going to have Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney.
It makes more sense than most because you're getting a lot more content.
But Disney owns Hulu. Now Disney owns Hulu, so why?
Then it should be one thing.
Right.
Right.
But now because they're money hungry, they're going to have Hulu, and they're also going to have the Disney streaming app. And then YouTube was like, we're a free service, but you can get YouTube Premium and get series like Cobra Kai, which is an amazing show. I back it completely, but now I have to pay like $12 for that just to watch Cobra Kai, which you should watch.
Yeah. So it's too much. Like, maybe people will pay for it, but I don't know if one person's going to buy all of those.
See,
right?
part of that, like, okay, so DC Universe brings something, like, different to the table, though. Because it's not just movies and shows. It also brings their comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Which does make it worse.
It's honestly, like, it's fan service is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a fan of DC, it is absolutely worth it. If you're someone who's just kind of casual, then they also put their movies on things like Hulu and stuff. Although I'm not sure how much they're gonna want to do that now that Disney owns it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's well worth it if you're a fan of DC comic books, because you get the animated features, you get the
Now,
whole,
which are really great.
Can
get
you
the
go
whole
back and watch like
movies
Batman and
stuff.
Beyond? Like, so like we talked about, we grew up with some of these animated shows.
Yeah.
Can I go back and watch my old animated shows?
All of them are on there. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Batman Beyond's on there?
Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series,
Teen
Superman
Titans.
the Animated Series, Teen Titans, Young Justice, you name it, they have it.
Now, is it only the animated shows, or like will Smallville and stuff like that be on there as well, or is it just the animated?
Smallville is not on there because it's on Hulu still. I
Gotcha.
believe.
Oh, okay.
They do have some of their stuff on others, like Man of Steel is on Hulu, and I believe Batman v Superman is on Hulu as well. So they do not have it on there, but they do
And
have
Justice
like,
League is on something right now. I think it might be HBO. Oh,
I
HBO has
believe
their
it is.
streaming
Of
site too.
course. HBO Go, yeah. HBO Now, one of the two.
Yeah. Sorry, not to go back on the rant, but yeah, like the DC is so amazing.
But with all the things that DC's coming out, we'd be remiss not to mention the new announcement. Well, it's about a week ago or so by this point. Robert Pattinson has been announced as the official new Batman.
Is it official? He's like one of the final runners.
I
If
keep
it's
seeing
not, then
mixed
they're
stuff.
hyping it up.
I keep seeing mixed stuff. Yesterday or today, I saw something saying it's 100% official, but then like 2 days ago, I saw most of it was saying it's just rumored, like heavily rumored. But I honestly think that he can nail it. He has the acting chops for it. All it is he's got to get himself into shape to be Batman, because that's really difficult. And I think he can absolutely do it. I mean, the dude's. When you have money, all you need is a personal trainer, you know.
Right, and I think so too. Like, he got a bad rap because of Edward, and I mean, we can all agree that nothing on that show was moving any of us to tears, except for the diehard Twilight fans, which I know you're out there, and I don't want to pee on your parade. But he like killed it as Cedric. Oh, killed it.
He dyed it on Cedric.
Oh no. And he's had a lot of other things, and you mentioned off camera that he's been doing a lot of indie films, so he has the chops. He totally does.
Yeah, I don't let one bad movie be what judges you.
Right.
Yeah, cast typing somebody is just not the way to go, because time and time and again, people have been proven wrong. Ben Affleck is like the perfect example of that. When they announced that he was Batman, there was so much backlash, and now that
He did a nice job.
And now the Bat flick is like some people's favorite Batman.
Oh yeah, he's definitely mine.
Is
Right.
he really?
Oh,
All
yeah.
the Batman?
Oh yeah, because he brought to life like this darker, like grimace, older version of Batman, like Frank Miller-esque almost. And a lot of people didn't like that, but then there's all the people that like that aspect of Batman. There's different aspects to him, you know. The only time I didn't really like it was probably in Justice League, because I think in a lot of the reshoots they made Batman like telling jokes, and I'm just not crazy about that.
And that's where like I know
That's
you
not
start to
his
see
fault,
that DC's like, if we do this lighthearted thing that Marvel's doing, it's gonna have people to it. So they started doing kind of lighthearted things with Aquaman, and then they really went for it with Shazam.
Yeah.
So, and like
That shouldn't be the thing, though. I think they should be the dark one.
I don't necessarily think they have to be the dark one, but
just go for best of both worlds, man.
right, they
Really.
don't need to make this is something that I think Marvel kind of went too far with, where they made every single character Tony Stark. Like
They're all snarky. They're all sarcastic.
like Tony Stark works. He's super sarcastic and he's like punny and all that. And they're like, let's make every character do that.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was fine with it when they did it with Thor, because that was really I like Thor as being like this funny like New Zealand Australian humor.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that, and that made sense because they brought in Taika, I think is
Taika Waititi.
and he's a renowned New Zealand director and writer, and he has that comedy down, and that's so big, and that's fitting for Chris Hemsworth. That makes sense. But like
Character development for
Right.
sure, because darker like he is in the comics more before in the first 2 movies, which wasn't resonating well, which is I think the main reason they did that.
Yeah, he needed a reskin, and they did a really good job with that, while still giving him that darker edge. Not that we need to get on Marvel.
But anyway, yeah, tie that back to DC. You were heading down a thread.
Right, but back to DC, like, they're set to fall into the same issue where you said they made Batman start to make some jokes. He doesn't need to do that. No. Batman has never made jokes like that. Like, he's a very serious character. I mean, like, he can make those, but not on purpose.
It's like every once in a while there will be like kind of like a not even like a one-liner. He'll just kind of give someone a look that he's like thinking of a joke or something. It doesn't really need to be exaggerated for it to be funny.
Or like
he's really
something happens and you see Batman smile because he never smiles. That's something to like.
Yeah, really.
Like that is enough to like make you laugh because you're like, oh, Batman just got amused. That's important. So my only suggestion would be don't fall to that trap of making everybody Tony Stark.
And Shazam, it works to be lighthearted because he's a kid.
He's literally 15 years old.
That works.
Yeah, I mean, they really nailed that movie. They nailed Shazam's character.
Oh yeah, like I remember watching. What was it? Was it Superman versus Shazam versus Black Adam?
Superman Shazam versus Black Adam. It's a short animated one.
It was super good. He was in. There was a Justice League movie that they made where they had
Justice League War, I believe is the one you're probably thinking of.
Yeah,
where they fight Darkseid.
Yes, and then like they had Shazam in that, and it was super good. And anytime they do Shazam, and he was in Young Justice, where they find out he's a kid.
Right.
Every time they do it super well, and you can see that he's got that kid aspect to it. I thought they did a really good job with that, and Zachary Levi was the perfect casting.
And I'm really excited for the sequel with Black Adam. I'm pretty sure everyone is. I mean, we all know that's what everyone wanted.
Yeah.
The first one, like, we want Black Adam.
Johnson.
We were hoping,
if that
and
is
help me out,
confirmed.
because in the end credits scene, without spoiling what it is, but for those who haven't seen it, but was that a reference to Black Adam, or is that a reference to something else?
That's something else.
Okay.
The caterpillar I was talking. I'm trying to think of his name now. He's basically just like super smart, if I remember right.
Okay.
Like, extremely intelligent.
They took his origin story and kind of cut it up because the Black Adam is a darker character.
Yeah.
And they didn't want that to be brought in. So the professor or the doctor who like finds
Savannah.
And like opens it was supposed to release Black Adam, but since they already have Black Adam saved for something, they just kind of made him take the role of Black Adam in that sense. Like they gave him the powers and made him the original fight.
Oh, I hope not though.
They did reference Black Adam in that movie though, when he talked about how there was a corrupt.
Yeah.
There was a person before.
Yeah.
That was corrupt. And I think they're probably just gonna do the thing that they did in the animated movie, where they're like, okay, well, we sent him away. Like, we literally just banished him, and it took him, like, 10,000 years to fly back. And, that's what it's going to be. And the next Shazam, he finally makes it back to Earth, and he's just like, oh, this wimp took my place. This is a kid.
Mm-hmm. Right. You don't deserve the powers of Shazam.
Exactly.
But now I have friends and family.
Yeah, that's the whole point of Shazam. Shazam is about family, which is super cool.
That was based off of, that's from the New 52 version of Shazam. Like before, when he used to be like Captain Marvel, it was like he had the power. But yeah, that was kind of a cool spin.
I like the New 52 Shazam better than I like old Shazam or Captain Marvel personally.
If you want to geek out more about that, check out this video where we compare Captain Marvel versus original Captain Marvel, now called Shazam.
But yeah, they're doing a super good job. And the other movie that's coming out, which I'm really excited about, which is getting a ton of backlash, is the new Joker movie. Was it with Phoenix?
Joaquin Phoenix, Phoenix.
I gotta say, I have really mixed feelings about that because I love the Joker. I think Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. Honestly, I think he's gonna do a really good job of portraying the Joker. I just think he can't, because of the yin yang of Joker and Batman. You can't really do a Joker origin story, especially when he's created by Batman, and that's like part of what makes his character so good, without having Batman in the movie, which is what they're trying to do, from what I understand.
I feel like maybe they're not showing it yet, but they've got to have kind of like he's there, but we never see him. Like
you see like in the newspapers and stuff like that.
Like his presence is definitely going to be there.
If
that's not happening, then yeah, I'm with you then. And that's completely absurd.
From what I've heard, is they're gonna put like a young Bruce Wayne in the movie where he's like really young, but that especially doesn't work because Joker is supposed to be younger than Batman. You know,
Right. Well,
he's supposed to be super fast, and that's part of what makes it harder for Batman to fight him because he's really quick on his feet.
Yeah.
I think he would have been a much better pairing for Ben Affleck as the Joker than Jared Leto was.
Oh,
honestly, he would have
okay.
looked awesome.
I could not get behind the Jared Leto Joker. The only theory that made it okay for me was that I think somebody said it might be Jason Todd. And that would have been the only way I would have been okay with it because it did not make sense to me at all.
I think we
whole
just
thing
didn't
feel
get
right.
to see enough of Jared Leto to understand why his Joker is the way it was.
Right,
Because
'cause
that
he
was
like a gangster.
That
Yeah.
Suicide Squad and Justice League are the two most perfect examples of the studio completely just messing with the movie.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, okay, people did not like how it was dark in Batman vs Superman. Let's make it lighter and let's make it PG-13 and
But
take
we
away.
loved it in Dark Knight.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
As if you do it correctly, there's no problem there.
So
Darkness is not necessarily a bad thing if it's
No.
done right and it's got the right showrunner, and it was just a choice. But I
Watch a
am
movie.
I'm excited to see Joaquin Phoenix take on the role. I think he's going to do a good job. I think Robert Pattinson is going to do an amazing job. I'm fully in support of both of them. Willem Dafoe actually just said that because he worked alongside Robert Pattinson in a movie, and he said he's got the perfect Batman jaw.
He
perfect
does.
Batman
He
jaws.
does. Like,
Yeah.
he's got the jaw. I mean, you put that cowl on, and
Looks great. Yeah.
And I can promise you, I'd be putting this down now, Robert Pattinson is going to do better than George Clooney or
That's not
Val
saying that
Kilmer
much.
ever did. Like the fact that anybody I know
Well, it's
you're
just a different world now. It's really hard to compare the two.
well, and I know that there are
Or
people in the
three.
world that are gonna be like, oh, George Clooney or Val Kilmer are my favorite Batman. They shouldn't be, but I'm sure they will say that.
But if you like that, I mean, that style of Batman was just completely different.
Yeah, they were kind of going for like the Silver Age, like
Adam
Brave
West.
and the Bold,
Yeah.
like kind of more.
It was
corny.
completely different. Now it's just you can't compare the two really. In my mind, I say you can't.
I don't know,
So-
like oh, wow, I suck. My brain just went blank. Original Batman, not Adam West, but
Keaton.
yeah,
Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was in that same era. I mean, but Michael Keaton's Batman,
Serious.
it was still, I don't know.
Well, that was because of Tim Burton's Batman.
Right. And
So
well,
that's
I,
why that one was darker.
and I thought it was a really good job.
It was cool. With
I
the
don't know why
black,
they abandoned that one.
Catwoman. Yeah.
I think just Tim Burton just didn't want to keep doing it.
I can respect that. Tim Burton has other things to do.
Yeah.
But and then there was the theory that Michael Keaton might, or like, so like this is just fan stuff, but that Michael Keaton could come back and play old Bruce Wayne.
For Batman Beyond.
And then you said Taron Egerton was what they wanted for young Batman.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I was telling him off camera that would literally be the best win-win for me in the world because Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. I know it's an older movie and it didn't really like age super well, but like it's still like one of my favorite tellings of it because that was my first introduction to Batman.
Yeah.
And then
And you love Taron Egerton.
I love Taron Egerton. I'm literally gonna go see the Elton John movie. I mean, not that I don't love Elton John, but like I'm
Just
going
because he's in it.
just because he's in it.
Yeah.
Like I pre-downloaded the album.
Oh, good.
It's already out. It came out.
Does he actually sing on that album?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's some. I
He
think we're
can
geeking
sing.
on about it, but that's like one of the things I think they did better than Bohemian Rhapsody
yeah.
was that they've revamped the songs, changed it to them whatever
That's
they
cool.
want.
But anyway,
If I could see him as young Batman or Batman Beyond, like with the full like
Oh yeah,
all the-
dude.
that would
Live
be
action Batman Beyond, which is
that would
so
be
cool.
sick. So sick.
100%. That was one of my first.
Now the technology's there.
Yes.
We could totally do it.
Yes, and to
best.
see like all of like the futuristic versions of people.
Yeah.
The best scene from Batman Beyond, the show is just on, like, you know how they had like the episodes, it was like they had splicing.
Yeah, I love
The
that.
episode
Yeah.
where the guy like he punches Ace, and Terry McGinnis just goes in there and he just straight up kills him. Like, this is a kid's cartoon. He just kills him and he goes, "Don't touch my dog." After he kills him, I was like, I
Goes
felt
all
that in
full
my
John
soul.
Wick on him.
Yes.
Pretty much, that's exactly what he did.
And I don't know, it's so cool to see things like that, and I think that would translate well. I also think that if they were smart, they'd bring Static Shock somewhere into it. We had also talked about how CW decided to bring Black Lightning to life instead of Static Shock, which felt weird because, I mean, Black Lightning does have its small cult following. And I get, like with all of what was going on with the news, they wanted, when they made Black Lightning, it made sense. And it still makes sense, like that's still an issue. But Static Shock makes more sense. It's a teenager. The only reason he got his powers was because he was in the middle of a gang war that went sideways. And they gassed him and they all got their powers. Yeah. And he's doing his part to keep his neighborhood safe by rounding all of them up. Like all of these new metahumans. Yeah. And
they could totally do it like in Young Justice Season 3, which is on the DC Universe streaming app, where they have Black Lightning training Static Shock to get better with his powers, which I thought was like a super cool idea.
Yes, and like Static Shock is such a good character. I'm not. You might be too old. I don't know where you are in life, but
no, I watched it.
Oh yeah, on the WB,
loved it.
Kids WB. He was such a cool character, and like to this day is one of my favorite superheroes.
Called me too old. Just to say.
But like on Batman Beyond, he comes back as an old man, like fully developed in his powers.
That was in a Justice League episode where you see, he's like an older man, and then like some of the Justice League members' kids were working with Batman Beyond and stuff.
It was super cool.
Yeah,
and
it was. That was really cool to see.
And I don't know. I think that doing a live-action Static Shock movie
would be sick.
Would be absolutely incredible
so
with
sick.
Where we're at with technology. I think that there is a definite following for Static Shock, and to see that come to life on the big screen, if we're going to do something like Shazam, I think we could get away with doing something as cool as Static Shock, or maybe even bringing the Young Justice to life as a live action.
Oh, yeah.
Well, with so much happening, it's clear that DC is committed to continuing to bring a lot of these characters to life, which is really exciting, because as geeks, the more comics and superheroes are out there, the more it's talked about, and the more that we have somebody to geek out with. So let us know what you think about all the upcoming exciting things coming on the DC streaming app or these movies. The Joker. How do you feel about Robert Pattinson? Let us know in the comments below.
And Joaquin Phoenix. I want to know that too, because I really think he's going to do great.
And I'm sure we'll do more content as those things get closer and they start to gain a little more traction. But yeah. Thanks, Devin, for coming on this week.
No problem.
Absolutely amazing.
Been looking for some people to nerd out with. I've been needing that lately for sure.
Well, we are for you, Devin.
I know you geek out about a lot of things, so if you ever want to come back on and you're like, you know what, I got to get my geekiness out about blank.
Let us know.
Sure, man. Definitely.
All right.
Cool.
Well, until next week, I'm PK.
And I'm Bozer.
I'm Devin.
You just keep geeking out. See you guys.